here's the story of the Green Machine. Walked into a music store in Carrollton, Georgia, down off the square owned by Joel Ship. And this guitar was hanging on the wall. It was stock then, didn't have the pick guard or the Invader pickup in the back, but it didn't have the flames. I did that later in the 90s, but walked in, bought this guitar. I could play guitar, but I wasn't a lead player, and he recommended me to Brian Jobson. Brian Jobson took me on and started teaching me scales and how to play lead guitar. And I always wrote music. I would write poems to start with when I was in about 3rd grade, and once I picked up the guitar, I started putting those poems and my thoughts and all down with the guitar, and then Brian Jobson just opened the door up for me wide open. I ended up going into his recording studio, and he was a great engineer, great guy. He ended up doing a gold record for a major label at one time, and he knew a lot of people in the music business. And so I went into his recording studio, and Rick Fowler, who was famous and had been on Epic Records, he did some of the engineering and helped me with it and helped me get started. He's a great guy. He played in the band Fort Knox that was on Epic Records, and played in the band Bombay, and he's still playing, still going at it. Just a great guy, and he helped me out a lot. And went to the recording studio, made a demo. I think it was 5 songs of original stuff that I had wrote and played guitar on, and took the guy that played bass with me, from childhood friend Tracy Hose, one of the most incredible bass players that ever lived. He's kind of unknown, outside of this state, but anybody that's seen him, man, I mean, he's great. He's an incredible guy, one of the best. And took Israel Tyson in with me. He was a drummer that I knew, childhood friend, and it was me and Israel and Tracy. We went to the recording studio and we recorded this 5-song demo, and I took the Green Machine. This was my exclusive guitar for 10 years. I didn't even take a backup guitar. I took this guitar. That's how great this guitar is. It really stayed in tune well. It's built like a tank. It's heavy duty, and it's seen a lot of bars and biker parties and festivals and all that stuff. And in the recording studio, I used it exclusively, and I still play it some. I've kind of retired it. It's 41 years old now, and I kind of put it to rest, but I still play it some. And hopefully in the future, maybe I'll get to use it. But anyway, I went in, I did this demo tape, and started sending it out to some radio stations, and the college radio picked it up pretty quick, and it was playing in college radio stations all over the Southeast. Song Leroy Jones about an old blues man, and Get Me to the Station. Get Me to the Station really hit well. I think maybe my proudest moment. I think I played better on that song than maybe anything I've ever played. I was really proud of that song. And it got a lot of airplay. Ended up getting on 96 Rock on the Peach Jam. And 96 Rock was the largest radio station in Atlanta, and maybe one of the largest in the whole Southeast. Millions of listeners. Great rock and roll station. They started playing it. So it created a buzz, and I ended up getting some magazine articles wrote up, Creative Loafing, some music magazine in Atlanta, newspaper articles were starting to be written up, around where we lived in Carrollton and surrounding areas, and was creating a buzz, and people were coming out and they were buying the CD, and it was on a cassette. I say CD, but it started out, it was on a cassette. Later on, they ended up being on CD, but you got to create a great buzz, and I ended up getting, it made all the way up to Sony Music, largest record label in the world. My wife worked for them as a QC lady. She would listen to their masters and all this stuff in the plant that was in Carrollton, Georgia at that time. And she kind of handed it off, and it ended up going all the way up to the top of the chain and got on the vice president of Sony Music's desk. And he loved it. He sent some A&R people down, and they discussed it, and they was all gung-ho, man, this is great. We're going to sign a guy that lives in the town where our record plant is, where we press our records and CDs and stuff, and this is great. And one of our employees' husband, and thought it was going to, and they was talking money, he was talking contracts and big bucks signing bonus and all. Anyways, it goes up, and 2 or 3 weeks later, it makes it to the desk of the president. He ended up passing on it. And of course, I was devastated, And I ended up getting some interest also from A&M Records. Nothing came of that. I mean, I would send them tapes and they'd, oh, we want to hear more, but nothing ever came out of that as much as it did with Sony. But they ended up passing. And of course, I was devastated for a while. And for a year, I didn't even want to play. And then I got to thinking, you know what? You don't play to be famous or all this money. I've always played just because I like to play. And I figured out real quick that I was a musician. No matter if I made anything from it or not, I was still a musician. And here comes CD Baby. It started up. And I said, heck, I'm going to take these demo tapes and polish them up a little more and send them to CD Baby and had them pressed on CDs. And we started selling CDs and they were streaming the stuff and selling it. Needless to say, I never became rich and humongously famous, but I did make some money and I used it to buy equipment with, and I had a lot of fun. And I sold CDs in Europe, Japan, all over Asia, United States, and it was a great thing. And I owe it all to, you know, Brian Johnson, my teacher, and Rick Fowler and Joel Shipp, and of course my bandmates, Israel Tyson, a great drummer, and Tracy Hosey, a bass player, just amazing. He's one of the best that I've personally ever known. Him and Joel Shipp and Jonathan Dorsey, of course, but Tracy Hosey just mind-blowing good, God-given talent. And without all those guys, I wouldn't have been able to do as good as I did. But that's the story behind the Green Machine. I mean, the Green Machine took me further than I ever would have thought I made it. But just a great guitar, and I guess a story that maybe I haven't ever told. And you know, you can check it out. They still sell the stuff on CD Baby and stuff, but check it out and listen to some of those songs.